Alright, let's start looking at what they did to the class balance. There hasn't been any healer tuning as I was fully expecting, and the only tuning that we have is Balanced Druid getting a little bit of a buff to their AoE. I don't think this makes them any more desirable in Mythic Plus. They're still pretty much destroyed since the nerf to Benthir. Additional class tuning for Season 4 is underway. We'll update this section with further adjustments soon. Okay, so this might actually get a bit extended, but let's see. Survival got nerfed, Mungus bite and kill command damage increased by 15%, but they reduced the bonus damage from the 4 set to 20% from 30. And Wildfire Bomb, Wildfire Infusion variants, and Wildfire Bomb now they reduce damage when hitting more than 8 targets. Was this not like already the case? It was capped to 8. Potential frequent set bonus activation, bombs not having any target cap with their damage is lower. Survival Hunters have exceeded expectations in content when there are many targets to hit. These set bonus interactions are fun to play with rather than adjusting the frequency of power level. Going to reduce its effectiveness was pulling a lot of monsters. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a target cap on the bombs, as well as lowering the 4 set bonus damage from the procs. I do believe that's just the procs they get, and then they buffed some other abilities to make up for that. I guess that's going to be a good nerf. Clear casting duration increased to 20 seconds, was 15. Is this a PvP change? I don't think this makes any big difference for Mythic Plus or PvE. We increase the duration of clear casting to minimize scenarios where the buff would fall off without the opportunity of players to gain value. Primarily a PvP concern, we don't care. Windwalker, spinning cranking, damage reduced by 5%. There you go, a little bit of a nerf to Windwalkers. A little bit more in line. Protection Paladin actually buffed. Armor increased by 5%. Holy Shield increased the block chance to 20, was 15. Okay, this makes them a little bit better, but this is nothing crazy whatsoever. Shadow Mind Seer damage increased by 30%. That is quite substantial. So we have the patch notes for Season 4 right now, so that's what we're looking at. There's been some nerfs and some buffs. Shadow Crash damage increased by 25. Searing Nightmare damage increased by 15, so they got quite some AoE buff. Shadow Priests are looking better, but I don't know. I really haven't seen a Shadow Priest in the entirety of Season 3, so it's gonna be rough for them to get a spot in Season 4. We'll see about that. And okay, here's the Destro nerfs. Incinerate damage increase, Immolate damage increase, Chaos Ball damage increase in PvE, Conflagrate damage increase in PvE, and then the 4 set gets joined as it used to. Already was announced a while ago. The nerf is that except Soul Shard generation, removing the ability of Blasphemy to grant Reign of Chaos. I think Blasphemy is part of their 4 set or 2 set, whatever. So they will get less shard generation from getting a lot of Reign of Fire. And therefore, they are not really able to just spam Rain of Fire, therefore the damage goes down. Ignore Pain's absorption increased by 30%, and the absorption cap is now based on maximum health, was twice the Ignore Pain absorb value. Protection Warrior struggle with magic and unblockable forms of incoming damage. This change is intended to help improve survivability in those situations, while the change to the cap will constrain its strength otherwise. So a little bit of a buff to Protection Warriors, that's definitely warranted, honestly. No, there's nothing happening to healers. Nothing at all. However, they are saying that this section of the class changes will be updated. So let's not lose all our faith. Alright, so quick note on the changes for Season 4. We are not getting any more Conduit upgrades. However, you can buy the 278 Conduit item upgrade for just Cosmic Flux from the vendor in your what you call the Covenant vendor in whatever your order hole is, and therefore you don't have to get the achievements like Mythic Plus 3k rating or PvP or Mythic Sepulchre. You can just buy that in Season 4 for a bit of Cosmic Flux. So that's good. You can still get the conduits from the raid, I believe, if you're going to be doing those. However, not from the dungeons. They're not being added to non-Shadowlands dungeons, so you will have to go back and get them from... Just buy the item. Like, you're just going to be buying the item, let's be honest. Nobody's going to go back and farm the dungeons for the conduits. You're just going to be getting these 278 items from the vendor, and then just gonna have all the conduits. There's not gonna be any more levels, so that's all there is. Now, legendaries. Legendaries are gonna be capped at 291, just like they are right now. There's going to be no new higher item level of legendaries, and therefore, whatever we have right now is the same item level we're gonna be having in Season 4. What this means is that if you have your legendaries crafted in slots like your chest, your pants, your helmet, your shoulders, you're probably going to move those away from those main stat slots. So you actually, if you have them on those slots in Season 4, you're going to be losing value because you could rather have a higher item level piece on those slots. And therefore, if you need to have the legendary, because of course you do need the powers, then you should move the legendaries away to slots like the wrists, feet, belt, you know, something that has less main stat. So that way you get more main stat from the higher item level pieces, and you still have the legendaries elsewhere. Now, Cosmic Flux is staying. There is going to be no rollovers, meaning it's not going to get removed from what you already have. The tokens to get the sockets are going to be transferred to gold, and the socket items themselves are also going to be transferred to gold. You will still be able to buy sockets for Season 4 for only 3 tokens instead of 6. So that's going to be a quicker way of getting all the the sockets if you want them. The Mythic Plus Keystone level is decaying by 3 levels. So this means that if you want to get a 15 next week, you have to do an 18 this week. Not too hard if you're going to get a weekly. So if you can try and get an 18 done this week, then you already have a guaranteed 15 weekly key for next week, Season 4. There is some stuff about the loot table of the Warlords of Draenor dungeons. They are limiting the loot table of those dungeons to just the items that drop from those dungeons in particular, because the loot table from dungeons used to be different in Warlords of Draenor. It used to be shared between a lot of the dungeons. Instead, in this case, it's going to be limited a little bit, and they will... there's going to be some items that are going to be chosen to share between the actual loot pools from the dungeons. But yeah, there's going to be mainly a limited amount of items dropping. I'm thinking that it's going to be exactly the items that you can see right now in the dungeon journal. End of Rhina items won't be capped week 1. So week 1, there won't be like a thing where you only want to do like a plus 10 because you can't get any more item level. From week 1, you can already do plus 15. That's going to be the maxed item level. There is no time gating anything. Ah, shit, the recording stopped. Well, we can always use the bot from YouTube, but I have no more space in my PC. I mean the bot from Twitch. Raiding has no delay, so you can do Mythic straight away from week 1. There's going to be no Hall of Fame. Raid skips are going to remain, so you had them before, you have them again. You're going to get more reputation from doing the raids, as well as more Cosmic Flux from finishing the raids. The Faded tag is going to remain on the items, so you are going to be able to upgrade the Catalysted tier sets. If you do get one, and then you go to the Catalyst and you transform the item into a tier set piece, the tier set piece will still be faded, so you can still upgrade it with the new currency, the coins that drop from the raid. Are we not going to let loot from other expansions from the vault? Yes, you will get loot from those other expansions, rather from the dungeons from the other expansions from the vault. That will be a thing. However, what's really being said here is that the loot from the dungeons from Warlords of Draenor, so the 2 ones that are being added to Season 4, will work in a way that's more compatible with Shadowlands instead of how it used to work in Warlords of Draenor. So there's been some nerfs about some trinkets, and just so that like you don't feel so bad because you are not able to get a 278 version of Shadowlands trinkets anymore, there is going to be some trinket tuning, and we're going to be looking into that right now. But yeah, let's go down here. I haven't seen this just yet. So Faded powers. Each week during Shadowlands there will be Season 4 there will be a different faded raid, and each one will have a different faded power. So this is basically the new affixes that there's going to be in Season 4. Include a new feat of strength if you get a lot of achievements that they're going to be added. Hero of the Fate is going to be the title. There's going to be TPs for dungeons, and there's going to be the new mount for doing all the faded raids. I think it's going to be in heroic, but not sure about that one. Okay, so what's going to be the affixes for the raid? Let's see. Creation Spark. Targeted players become charged with cosmic damage over time. When this magic dispellable aura is removed, creation spark flies off and impact the ground. So something gets out of the player, flies off, impacts the ground. Their explodes if no player gets it, but if they do, they're rewarded with a powerful faded infusion, increasing the flow of time and the movement speed of any player within the radius. So you want to be soaking this thing so that you get a haste buff as well as extra movement speed. Alright, so that's quite a big buff, but you're going to be taking damage from soaking that, so I'm assuming you will balance out how much people is getting hit by the thing and how many people are just like ignoring it or like soaking it later. Okay, next one, Reconfiguration Emitter. An enemy appears which continually casts inflicting cosmic damage to all player if successful. Over time, this enemy gains energy and increased damage done, and when defeated, grants a fatal infusion which increases mastery, critical strike, and versatility and avoidance based on the enemy's energy value. Alright. So if you kill it, you let it cast until the damage is too much. And once the damage is too much, then you kill it and you get a lot of buffs. So yeah, you just let it do more raid damage and then you probably just kill it and get a lot of buffs. Just like if you pop Seraphim, really. It's like, you don't get haste though, but you do get a little bit of a buff to everything else. Even avoidance. Alright, Protophone Barrier. Infuses powerful enemy to inflict cosmic damage to players. Okay, what's the powerful enemy though? When removed, this power manifests as an enemy who shields all enemies in the area for a short period of time. Alright. Sharing the pool of shielded health, players may additional heal a secondary unit to contribute against this pool. If this shield breaks, damage and healing done to shield enemies is inflicted upon them, and players are granted a fatal infusion, increasing total health damage, healing, and absorbs done based on how much that player contributed. So you will do damage to some sort of shield, and after you break the shield, the enemies will take damage to the shield, and players will gain a buff based on how much damage they did. So you want to save cities for the shields, kill the thing, and then you get an extra buff. Total health, damage, healing, and absorbs done. Okay. That's gonna be pretty cool. The affixes are supposed to make the raid sort of harder in a way, but at the same time, after you deal with them, you get a buff. And in theory, as I've heard from Towley in the tweet he did, this is supposed to be relatively easy. So they are supposed to be more good than bad, but we have to see them still. Chaotic Essence summons an orb which defeated with the wait, hold up. Summons an orb which defeats all players by may be interacted with. An orb that defeats all players, okay. This activates the foe, which spawns additional enemies for a short period of time. For each one slain, more spawn. And after a window of time, players are rewarded with another fatal infusion. Increasing damage, healing, and absorb stun, stacking for each enemy defeated. How the hell does it summon an orb which defeats all players? But you may interact with it. Alright, so if you let it cast something, it will kill everybody, but you can interact with it to make it spawn enemies, and then you kill the enemies, and depending on how many enemies you killed, you will get more buffs. Okay, so you basically do AoE damage, and then you get rewarded after it. That's pretty cool. Here's the Faded Raid Bender information. Season 4 will feature a trio of broker benders suspiciously skulking around the Great Vault, so you will get 3 benders, you can buy items from them. Each of these brokers has wares from one of the 3 Shadowlands Faded Raids. They will sell trinkets, weapons, and other special items at Faded normal difficulty item level. From the respective raid, each of these items will have the same price, a single puzzling cardal dinar. With a catch, you will only be able to get 3 puzzling cardal dinars for the entire season. After spending your last dinar, the brokers will leave town and take their wares with them, so you could literally not see them anymore. Alright, so to acquire 3 puzzling cardal dinars, enter any Shadowlands Faded raid to start a 3-part questline. This quest will require to kill a certain number of unique Faded bosses. Unique meaning killing the target in normal difficulty, heroic difficulty, and the same week will only give you 1 kill. So you can basically go into every one of the raids, kill a bunch of bosses, you complete a quest for each of the raids based on killing a bunch of bosses, and then you get an item that you can use to buy whatever you want from the raids, from each of the raids. I'm assuming the dinars are the coins you get, you can use regardless of where they came from, so you can use it for the 3 of them to buy items from Sepulchre if you wanted to. Then you can upgrade the Faded raid gear by Killing the bosses on Heroic or Mythic will reward each player with 1 Confounding Cipher. Collecting 20 Heroic or Mythic Ciphers to create a Creation Impetus, which upgrades any faded items to Heroic or Mythic quality. So you kill 20 Mythic bosses, and then you can upgrade the item that you bought from the vendor to Mythic quality. So you're gonna need a couple weeks of killing Mythic bosses to be able to upgrade an item. At some point, you'll just have enough for everything, so you won't worry too much. Sounds like a lot of work to the DPS. Sounds like a lot of fun to the DPS, honestly. Just having more things to kill and doing damage in a different way, that's what you want as a DPS. Yes, of course, you have to do more damage, but that's the point of playing DPS, right? Then you get a buff and you do even more damage, and that's fun. This quest reminds me of the Rogue quest from Legendary Daggers in Kata. I've never done that. I don't really know how that looks like. Alright, Mythic Plus, Shrouded Affix, Infiltrators disguise themselves among the enemies. We know that there's going to be some Dreadlords that you're going to be able to see, attack them, kill them, and you get a buff for whatever secondary stat you chose at the beginning of the dungeon. You will get some assistance and rewards from that. Include a feat of strength, 2 new titles, the Shrouded and Shrouded Hero, so that's for rank 1, that's just for 3k I believe, or 2.5. Dungeon teleports, new coloration of the Mythic Plus, Deathwalker Mount, etc, etc. The dungeon rotations are the following, we know those. Portals to everything else, or rather, okay, so there are available nervos to those zones so you can get to the dungeons, alright. Oh, there's some nerfs to, or rather some changes to Gambit and Streets, okay. Enemy forces adjusted in Gambit. Coast Worker Goliath title stomp damage reduced by 15%. Appreciate the follow very much, Alex PV86, thank you so much. Stomp damage reduced, so that's like the giants, that's fair I assume. Increase the damage of title stomp by 15%, so that's another nerf. Alright. Well, I don't think that was that justified, but people were skipping those monsters so much. Nobody wanted to kill the giants. They were so scary in high keys on Fortified. So you just kill Murlocs now. Maybe there's a bit more of a reason to kill them. Anchor Shot no longer scales with Fortified. And damage reduced by 10%. Alright, well that was... I guess that was an issue in high keys. Never really encountered it though. Fan mail damage reduced by 15% on Postmaster. That is massive. This is making Postmaster so much easier. Enemy forces has been adjusted, which might mean increase or reduce. Simply a relocation of where the count is coming from. Veteran Sparkcaster Hpala Salvo deals damage less frequently. Alright. I don't really remember where that's supposed to be, but whatever. Custom security hard light baton cooldown increased to 18 was 15. Damage reduced by 15 by 10%. So a little bit of a nerf on that. I think that's just single target damage onto the tank, but not sure. I'm not really sure what these two spells are supposed to be even talking about. The nerf to Postmaster is justified. I have no idea. I haven't done enough of a high key to really have a problem with fan mail. The highest streets I've done has been at 27, and I did it just fine with no problems. So maybe it's been a bit of a problem for some people in some other lower keys. Like these changes are usually just aimed at the average player, not at the high end. So it makes sense that this might just be a bit of a problem for newer players or less experienced players, because it's really a rough thing to deal with, such a big tantrum damage. You might need to be a bit better of a player to understand how to properly deal with this. Empowered world bosses, while a raid is faded, their world bosses also will be empowered. And therefore, they will also have the item level drop increase. Okay. Additional class tuning is underway. Yep, we know that. Items and rewards. The Great Bolt rewards. All Shadowlands raid rewards will still be available on the Great Bolt. And you will probably just get the items out of the week that's like faded. The Great Bolt rules will stay the same, as only bosses that haven't defeated the week will be available as possible rewards for the following week. Alright, so yeah. You could kill stuff from like other raids, but like what if you kill bosses from the faded raid and then you go over to a non-faded raid and you kill bosses there as well? Are you able to loot stuff from the non-faded version then? Because that would be inting your bolt. You wouldn't want to do that ever, because otherwise you will probably get items from the bolt that are like lower item level. Faded Castle Nathria and Sanctum Domination now reward Cosmic Flux as well. Okay. Accumulated Valor is reset. We knew that. The cap is gone for Valor though. You can get as much Valor as you want. Accumulated Conquest is reset. Higher weekly cap, so you can do PvP a little bit more and be fine. Domination sockets have been removed. We know that you can... hold up. Yeah, you cannot buy any more of the sockets from Season 3. That's just what it is. Helms and Wastes from Sanctum Domination can now roll sockets naturally, and when faded can be socketed using the ephemeral infused mesh. Okay, that's just like the item you use to add sockets. So somehow you couldn't add sockets to helmets and wastes from Sanctum. Okay. Vessel of Profound Possibilities no longer requires Season 3 achievements to purchase. So this is what I was saying. You can just buy the 278 conduits for 10,000 Cosmic Flux though. Holy. Stygian Embers no longer drop from bosses, Legion Intense, and Corthia Weekly Quest. Okay, so you don't really want to get those ever because those are for upgrading the good old Sanctum of Domination Season 2 shards, which we came to hate over time. And PvP, I don't care. So, anything else here? Faded rates, we know that. There's gonna be some... wait, hold up, what is this? Oh, this is the this is going to be the world bosses that are going to be empowered when Castle Nathria is up. Now, whenever Sanctum of Domination, there's going to be these ones empowered. And then you will have this one when Sepulchre. Then Sarah Nathrius is, of course, the bosses from each raid. The Faded, how does the whole thing work? Okay, so these are going to be the item levels for the Faded raids. If you just do the raid normally, you will get 278 from normal to 285 from the later bosses. Heroic is going to give 291, so that's the legendary item level already, to 297, and the Mythic is going to be 304 to 311. And you can always convert everything through the creation catalyst to whatever that's going to give you. So we talked already about the powers and whatever you get out of those powers, like the affixes, so the infusions you get, just buffs. Now, what about the dinners? We know how you get those. And you can buy the items from the normal item level range and then upgrade them with the heroic tokens or the mythic tokens. So we already know that. We talked about that before, same stuff. How do you upgrade them? Faded raid rewards. You clear all 3 faded raids on normal difficulty, it's gonna give you the mount. So it's only normal difficulty, you can already get the mount. You can't get the mount by just doing LFR. If you do it on heroic, you get Hero of Fate, and if you do it on mythic, you get 3 teleports to each of the raids. Okay, so a lot of teleports coming out of Shadowlands, goddamn. I wonder if anybody's really gonna ever use them, because why would you ever come back to Shadowlands unless you're farming affixes? So we already know about this, we already know about the affix, we talked about the rewards. You get the title shrouded, that's from 1.5. You get the mount from 2000. You get the 0.1, you get the title shrouded hero from 0.1%, so rank 1. And the TPs from doing the raid, the dungeons on level 20 or higher. PvP stuff, don't care, and this has already been answered. So we've pretty much seen everything there is to see. That's a lot of stuff. But yeah, there is still more class tuning to come. You never know, that might include some healer changes. However, it doesn't, and the current situation with healers is this one. This is what healers look like in raids right now. If you check this out, of course, druids are massively ahead, mistweavers are massively ahead, and then you have paladins at the very bottom. Nothing is being changed for Mythic Plus for healers. There will be some changes to what the DPSers, like the best DPS for Mythic Plus will be. We'll see what that ends up being though, because there's still some tuning to come, so yeah. Is the mount worth it? I mean, you just gotta do normal on all 3 raids. It looks pretty cool though. Look at it. This is like a bird. Look at it. That is the mount. It's pretty unique. It's like a Spectral Tiger model with just a bunch of green sludge. So I do think it's pretty worth it, honestly.